Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so why don't you tell us what the Mind Miracle Foundation is?
We are a humanitarian organization that travels to Mexico to provide humanitarian aid for those less fortunate.
How often do you go to Mexico?
4 or 5 times a year we travel down there.
How much Spanish do you know?
Very little. I know enough just to get in trouble. I can order a meal at a restaurant or get a taxi, but I don't know enough to sit down and have a conversation with somebody.
What cities in Mexico have you gone to?
I've been to Tijuana, Ensenada, Cancun, Merida, Valladolid, Piste, Akumal. I've been to quite a few cities.
What things in Mexico have you done with the Mind Miracle Foundation?
Typically we build houses in remote villages for people that live out in the middle of the jungle. They don't live in big cities.
What other languages do they speak in Mexico?
In the Yucatan Peninsula, which is where I travel to mostly, there are a lot of Mayan people. And believe it or not, they still speak Mayan.
How much Mayan do you know?
I know a couple of phrases. I can say Koosh, which means let's go, or I can say Tuush Kabalik, which means where are you from?
What is the most common sport played in Mexico?
Soccer. They love soccer down there. I've been down there and I brought a basketball one time to play basketball with some kids, and they kept taking the ball and kicking it because basketball's no fun to them. Soccer's what it's all about. They're crazy for it.
How many times do you think you've gone to Mexico?
15 to 20. I'm not sure.
How many years have you been with the Mind Miracle Foundation?
10 years.
What Mayan ruin is your favorite?
Chichen Itza is probably my favorite. It's the biggest one. It's the one with the big pyramid that you always see on TV. It's really cool. They've got structures there that are 2,000 years old that have stood up by themselves through hurricanes and all kinds of different weather, and they're still standing. It's really cool.
Tell me about Chichen Itza and the Mayan ruins.
Well, Chichen Itza is the like I said, the famous one that you see the big pyramid on TV all the time. They've got a lot of different structures there. There's the Temple of the Warriors, and it's got these columns in it that are really cool. They've got a warrior carved into every column. There's the ball court that the Mayans used to play a ball game. It had, similar to basketball, but they couldn't use their hands. They had to use their hips and their shoulders to knock a ball through a hoop, and the hoop is really high.
Sounds challenging. What is the weather like in Mexico?
It's typically pretty mild. It's warm in the northern part. It's really deserty. Along the coast, it's very tropical. In the Yucatan, it's tropical weather. Like in February, it's really nice. It's probably around 85 degrees during the day. During the summer, it gets pretty hot. Very humid in the jungle, and in the deserts, it's very dry.
What is the wildlife like?
It's really different. In the region that I travel in, there are a lot of snakes. In fact, Cancun is Mayan for nest of snakes. So I've seen all kinds of snakes down there. I've seen pythons. I've seen rat snakes, which is it's a long black snake. It's about 6 feet long, very poisonous. I don't like snakes. I don't like playing with them. When I see them, I kind of go the other way. There are coral snakes. There's iguanas are everywhere. And they're kind of fun. We can actually hold flowers up to them, and they'll eat the flowers out of our hands. I've seen coates, which is similar to a raccoon. I've seen raccoons. I've seen deer. I haven't seen a jaguar yet. I'm still looking. I keep hoping. But those are few and far between.
What different types of bugs have you seen that you haven't seen here?
Oh, I've seen some amazing bugs. Like I've seen tarantulas as big as my hand. You can see how big my hand is. I've seen them huge. Scorpions that are small, all the way to maybe this big. I've seen a lot of different bugs that we don't have here.
What's the Mayan culture like?
Well, they're just like any other people. They're humble people. They're typically hardworking. That's it.
Are there mountains in Mexico?
There are. In the northern part, there are. In the Yucatan, it's very flat. You can look out over the land and see that it's really flat. And every time you see a little hill, that's usually a Mayan ruin that's been covered up by the jungle. But in the northern part, there are very big mountains. There's famous canyons, things like that.
Do you have any relatives or close friends in Mexico?
I have a lot of close friends in Mexico. My friend Daniel, who was a tour guide in Cancun, and then I have a friend Abel, who was a Mayan tour guide in Piste.
What interesting plants have you seen in the jungle?
In the jungle, everything is green. I've seen palm trees. Believe it or not, I've even seen poinsettias. The red flower that we get at Christmas time that makes everybody think of snow and winter. That's a tropical plant, and they grow in the wild down there.
I want to hear you say something in Spanish. Like you've already said something in Mayan, but I want to hear something in Spanish. So.
Okay. Well, typically when I greet somebody, I would walk up and say, "¿Cómo estás usted?" which means, "How are you doing?" Or I would say, "¿Cómo te llama?" which means, "What is your name?" Something similar to that, just the easy stuff. The people usually laugh at me because I'm not really good with what I'm doing.
So, I see that you brought some stuff with you. Do you want to tell us about those?
Sure. This is a sombrero that I brought. When people think of Mexico, they think of this hat. The people typically don't wear these down there. This is kind of a fancy thing for maybe performers or people in bands that I've seen play them. I think that they used to wear them to protect themselves from the sun, but anymore it's kind of a tourist thing. This thing that I brought with me is an example of a Mayan carving. This was taken from a site in Mexico. This is called Stela number 5. And a stela is kind of like a newspaper or a billboard for the Mayans. They would write events that happened on these. They would carve them, and that's how they would leave them there for the next person to find.
So, what kind of money do they use in Mexico?
In Mexico, they use pesos. It's funny. I have a pocket full of pesos right now. It looks a little different than our money. This is a 20 peso bill right here. And then they use these peso coins. This one is 10, and this one is 1. And typically the exchange rate, each peso, it would take, usually it takes about 12 pesos to equal the value of $1.
So if we were to take, let's say like $10 down in Mexico, we would get
about 120 pesos.
Which could buy us
whatever $10 would buy you here.
Okay, so I think that's it. Thanks for coming.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So tell me what the beaches are like.
The beaches are amazing down there. They're beautiful white sand with palm trees. The water on this side of the Yucatan is crystal clear, blue. It's beautiful. The western side of Mexico is known for the surfing. They've got great seafood. The food down there is amazing. some of the wildlife I've seen on the beaches. I've seen fireflies, which I've never seen here before in Utah. I don't know that most of us have ever seen those. I've seen turtles. One of the most exciting experiences I had down there with the wildlife was it was in the fall, and in the fall the sea turtles come onto the beach to lay their eggs. And it was late at night, and I got to go out on the beach and watch this turtle come up and lay her eggs, and then she would take her fins and bury the eggs in the sand. It was really cool.
Well, that's all the time we have. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching.
Adios.
Adios.